welcome to the Dirty Purse Podcast. I'm your host, Marissa, and I'm here with
Jordan Kale with the Kayallscope podcast. Today we're doing a double feature, right? Like, I've been trying to be on your podcast, you've been trying to be on mine, and we decided let's just do it together and release it on both of our podcasts.
Yeah, we've been trying to get each other on the podcast, but then the COVID happened.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, you can still come over. It's just you. And then it got really serious, and we're like, maybe we should just stay home.
And then you actually got the disease.
I think so. So I think I started feeling the symptoms on Friday the 13th, because I remember that day very well, because I went to Alibaba, which is like a Mediterranean Arabic
that's right
grocery
by
store.
where I live.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right around where you are. So I
Mm-hmm.
went there, and they had like shitloads of eggs. Everyone was complaining about eggs, and they had like trays and trays of eggs. So I was like, this is the place to be. But there was a lot of white people in there, which isn't usual. So they were like kind of being the overflow of HEB.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and then I felt sick like Thursday night, which is on the 12th. I felt like the itchiness in my throat and all that shit, and I thought it was just going to be a cold. I knew about the COVID-19. That's when it was more famously called the coronavirus before COVID-19 became part of what we talk about. So this is really early on the 12th. I got an itchy throat, and I felt like either allergies or a cold or the flu is about to happen. So on the 13th, I was already like out of work by the 11th. The 11th
really?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah, they canceled all of the, because what I do is extremely non-essential. Like it's party tours, bus driving. I'm speaking because I know I'm on your podcast too, and people don't know me. So people who listen to my podcast know this already. So I'm going to be speaking kind of generally. So I do party tours. I do, fun stuff.
Yeah, when it like started happening and they started talking about people who could possibly get it, like you were the first person I thought of, is because you are around so many different types of people from all over the state or maybe even all over the country.
Yeah. And so it's funny because actually on March 2nd, I actually went to the quarantine site, was there for about 4 hours, and we're supposed to pick up the released quarantine people and take them to the airport. And we were there like 4:30 in the morning on Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. And we realized everything was kind of sketchy. Like we got to the visitor center, we got checked in, we were met by 2 U.S. Marshals, and we were asking, so what are we doing? Are we picking up like graduates today, or what was it? My boss had no idea what we were doing there. He said if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have agreed to that trip.
Oh, wow. That's so shady.
Yeah. So Lackland, the organizers did not say anything. And then the address was something different than what we used to, because we've picked up from Lackland before, taking them to the mall, taking them to the airport, because they graduate and then they go back home. So we thought it was one of those. We knew about coronavirus at the time. We knew it was a thing.
So they're risking exposing y'all without telling y'all. Y'all could have taken precautions if you agreed to that.
Yeah, and we probably wouldn't have agreed to it. Maybe that's why they didn't say anything, because they were like, no bus company's going to agree to this.
That's so fucked up.
It is. And they don't have like military buses they can use, like those big white ones with a cage.
Yeah, I've seen those now.
Yeah, they could use something else, but no, they hired 4 56-seater motor coach buses, MCI buses, to pick up potentially about 200 people. And so I got to the quarantine site, and when I got there, we all knew when we were driving down this weird road that we've never been down to before that we were going to go there. And then when we got to the location, there was a fenced-off dormitory room. It was like old dorms they used for the airmen, and it was all fenced off. And in the entrance of the fenced-off area, there was this like transparent tent with people in hazmat suits. And what they were doing, yeah. And what they were doing is they were spraying down the luggage and then wrapping it in plastic. So they were like sterilizing all their luggage. The luggage was out in the grass. So we were to go there to pick up all these people at 4:30 in the morning. And we realized like, shit, we're here already. We were escorted by the U.S. Marshals, so we couldn't just simply leave. And we were like, fuck. And we were all kind of gathered around in a circle. Then we were approached eventually by the U.S. naval commander. She came up to us. It was this Indian lady from Virginia. And she was part of the, Health Services Department, or Department of Health Services for the U.S. Navy. And she was a commanding officer. And then there was two U.S. Marshals that we were talking to. They came up and we were all talking. She shook my hand, and we all knew why we were there at that point. So like, I just kept note of it, and I went up to the bus when she was gone, and like, I sterilized my hand. It reminds me of the reason I'm laughing because I thought about a story that Michael Thomas shared with me, and I don't know if you know who Michael Thomas is, but he's he's a friend of mine, and he told me about how one time his dad had a friend over, and his friend had AIDS, and he came in.
Are you allowed to share this story?
Yeah, well, I didn't say his full name. I didn't say his middle name. And he's not going to listen. If he does, he secretly listens.
He secretly listens to mine.
Really? I think he secretly listens to mine.
No, he doesn't.
He might. You never know. We'll find out now, right? This is the way to find out. So he told me about how his dad like had a friend over from work, a coworker, and he came over to his house, and we were in the kitchen, and he came in. When he came in the house, he like shook his dad's hand, and like he talks about how his dad's a kind of a weirdo. And he said, like, without even, like, trying to hide it, he went up to the kitchen sink and, like, squirted soap in his hand and, like, washed his hands right in front of him immediately afterwards. So he never told you that?
No. Well, it was one of his dad's friends or one of Michael's friends?
One of Michael's dad's friends, like a coworker.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. So I thought about that moment, and I thought, I don't want to do it right in front of her, so let me wait for her to leave. And then when she went around the bus, I went up to, without touching anything, I went up and I used my left hand to squirt like 2 squirts of hand sanitizer. Had a giant, like, gallon-size thing. I should have taken it, actually, knowing how valuable it would have been. But it was like one of those giant, like, Purex, like, squirty containers with a little nozzle on top, like the soap.
It's so funny, because I would see those, and I'd be like, that's fucking ridiculous. Who's buying this? And now like you can't find them anywhere.
Yeah. And it's funny because we have them on the bus all the time because we don't have a sink, so we use the restroom, we use the toilet in the back of the bus, so we always just have hand sanitizer everywhere on the bus. I'm sure if I went back, I'm sure that my boss cleaned them out by now, like stashing them all, but I'm sure I can go back on my bus and get that bottle. But my point was, I felt safe. I felt that we got like these high-ranking officials walking around the quarantine, unprotected, no gloves, no mask. And then just across the fence, you would see these people coming out of the building wearing masks, and we're like, oh shit, they're the ones with either have the virus or they are preventing getting the virus, but they got to get outside and walk around, but they were confined into that fenced-off area, which was not very big. It was like maybe about 50, 75 feet away from the building was where the fence was, all around the building. And the only way to get through was to go through that tent, which didn't make any sense, I guess, because they want to be protected, but the rest of it was just a chain link fence. It wasn't like they had plastic all around. So just to go through, you had to go through that plastic part. I guess that's just so they can decontaminate you or something. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But we were a little nervous at the time, but we felt assured that, if these high-ranking officials are walking around like nothing, and they've got like they look like U.S. Marshals in the movie, like the John Cena haircut and the shirt that says U.S. Marshal on the back with a gun, and exactly the way you would think. And they were walking around like nothing, and they were like shaking everyone's hand, talking, sharing food, and so I felt like, okay, they've got this contained. It doesn't. They've obviously taken precautions, so I felt okay. But still, even then, I put 2 squirts of hand sanitizer, sterilized the shit out of my hands, closed my bus up, and left it closed, and just stayed in there. I did get out to go to Burger King, like down the way, but anyway, I didn't feel like I was in a threat. Like I didn't feel like I'm in danger. I knew how contagious the virus was at that point, obviously, because it was the Princess. What was it called? Princess something cruise. Princess Diamond cruises. It was off the Gulf of China, or off the coast of China, in the Indian Ocean, I believe. And they were all U.S. citizens that came from that cruise. And the employees were all out there too. So all the employees wearing their Princess, what was that I just said? Princess Diamond cruise shirts were walking around, and they weren't protected either, but they were outside the quarantine. I think they were just assisting because it was their mess, and they had to deal with it. So I guess they were cleared. So we were there for about 4 hours, and then they had a town hall meeting. The governor of San Antonio, Ron Nirenberg, and the governor. Did I say the governor? The mayor of San Antonio and the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, had a town hall meeting. I know. Had a town hall meeting about should we release them. They were like hesitant. So we were there for 4 hours before we talked to our boss, and our boss just said, look, just get out of there. It's not happening today. We're not doing that. Just leave. So we all got in the buses and left. The guy who's part of the media didn't want us to leave because he wanted to go there and tell the people to let them know, because they were going to see all of the buses there. They had hope. They saw their luggage outside in the grass. They knew they were getting out there today. They've been quarantined since January 6th at that point. It's March 2nd.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So they were quarantined in China and then Japan. Oh, no, actually, I think it was Japan and then China. One of the two, I forgot which order. And then recently in the United States on Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. So they've been in quarantine for nearly 2 months and they're miserable. They want to just go home. They know they're clear. They're healthy, but they wouldn't let them go because that's when that one lady got out and went around North Star Mall.
Oh my God, yeah.
So you want to talk about that since I've done all the talking so far?
Sorry, I wanted you to tell your story.
No. I want
about what happened.
No, because that's why they let us. They held it back because that lady, that was the day before, or March 1st or 2nd, I think. I think it was March 1st. It was the day before is when that lady got out and she spread the virus everywhere. And they had to shut down the whole North Star Mall in San Antonio to sterilize it and clean it. So
yeah, well, the last episode we did was about a month ago, and we were kind of like, oh, everything's gonna be all right, just wash your hands and then kind of stay away from people. And then everything kind of went to shit. It just everyone started to go on lockdown, and then you got the virus and you were on Instagram Live.
Yeah, I'm not even 100% sure. I have felt something that I haven't felt before. So I was talking about I could have picked it up any time because I was picking up people from New Jersey and New York. I did a convention with the Poteet Strawberry Fest. So there's strawberry farmers from all over the United States coming on one of the trips I did. So I did a lot from the 2nd of March all the way up to the 14th. Because the 14th I did a wine tour, my own wine tour, unrelated to my bus company. And so the 11th was the last time I worked for my bus company. And the last tour I did was on the 14th. And I didn't think that was going to go through. We had about 12 cancellations. But aside from that, we did a tour like normal. And that was the last time I worked, was March 14th.
But what symptoms did you have?
So on the 12th, and it's funny because I'm talking about I did a tour on the 14th, which means I would have infected the entire bus if I had it, if I was contagious. On the 12th, it was just itchy throat, a little hot. I felt a little hot, not feverish, but a little warm. And nothing out of the usual, kind of like my old regular allergies. That was the 12th. So the 13th, I went out to go and buy NyQuil, DayQuil, Emergency, Airborne, all that shit, all the immunity building vitamin C stuff. And, just stocked up on medication. Everyone else is cleaning out toilet paper. I got a lot of Tylenol. I got DayQuil, NyQuil. I got everything that would help the symptoms, not the virus, of course, but help, I guess, alleviate the symptoms. Yeah. You know what's ironic? A little side note is I get the Amazon toilet paper Presto subscription. It's $7.50 a month. And it's 6 nice, big, soft rolls for $7. And, but I had... I was kind of getting too much toilet paper because, it's just me by myself and I'll go through one roll every 2 weeks. So I was kind of getting them too fast. Before earlier in the year, my daughter was with me a lot. I had my ex-girlfriend was staying with me. So I was using a little more toilet paper. But once we broke up, I kind of it was just me. So I didn't need as much toilet paper. So I actually canceled my March
Oh, wow.
subscription. I was like, I'll just get it in April because I'm going to get way too much toilet paper. Also, as you know, and people that know me, every time I go to a hotel, which is at least once, twice a week, I take all of the toiletries, the lotions, the soap, the everything they have to offer, even the makeup remover wipes, and the spare roll of toilet paper, and the Bible, and or Book of Mormon. That's my routine. I clean them out. Like, I'm not paying for the hotel, but my company is, and so they're paying about anywhere from $70 to $150 a night. I'm like, at least I'm going to take some toilet paper and a Bible. And so I've got a giant collection of about 50 Bibles by now. And I've been collecting toilet paper. So I had about 14 rolls of toilet paper, from hotels. And I just kind of recently started taking the toilet paper, mainly to have it on me in case I needed it on the bus or, while I'm, out of state or out of town. You never know when you might need toilet paper. So I always just grab one anyway. And sometimes I'll go to the front desk and say, look, I need another toilet paper and some toothpaste, etc. So I've been kind of accidentally hoarding toilet paper for a bit. So because
you
of
still
that,
have some?
Yeah, I've got about maybe I think I've only used 3 rolls since all this went down. I've been collecting my rolls just as a souvenir.
Yeah, I'll buy a large package just to have, so I won't have to continue buying it. But I'm already starting to run low, and there's nowhere to buy it. I don't understand, why are people buying toilet paper?
Because someone on the news once said, yeah, you want to stock up on toilet paper and this and that. I don't know why that thing happened, but I thought even in the very beginning that stores should have had a policy of 1 pack. If you're getting 1 single roll or 1 pack of 12, you can only get 1. Whatever you need of toilet paper, get what you fucking need. And can we say bad words on your podcast?
Yes.
I think I may have heard you, but I couldn't remember. I wasn't sure if you try to keep
That's
it.
That's funny.
I wasn't sure you try to keep it PG-13. Mine. I tried it in the beginning, the first few episodes. I'm like, let's keep it for a general audience,
fuck that.
I know, in case the parents want to listen to it on the way, dropping off the kids to school or whatever. Let's keep it so we get more exposure, more, But I don't know, once we started being ourselves, we got a lot more subscribers anyway. So, we scrapped that pretty quickly. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure. So what were we talking about? Toilet paper. Yeah. So
oh my God.
In the very beginning, they should have just put a limit on toilet paper. You can get 1 pack. I don't give a shit how big your family is. Come back tomorrow, get another pack. But they should have put a limit early on because people filled up their, towering their carts of toilet paper.
Yeah. And I don't understand,
because they're fucking stupid. That's really it.
Because to me, I was like, fuck, I got to get so much Tylenol. That was my initial thought. It wasn't about my ass paper. I don't know the thought process behind that. I have to stock up on toilet paper. I understand water because if something horrible happens and the electricity goes out, the water goes out, you need to have some type of water supply. But I did not get. I don't understand the toilet paper thing.
Maybe they're thinking about Hurricane Harvey, and they're like, what natural disaster or what crisis are they thinking of? That you need.
Was it Venezuela or Chile? One of those countries, something was happening, and they were saying how they couldn't even get toilet paper, and I wonder if it had to do something with that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we have lots of hot running water. I've got my electricity. We had a few storms, and I was kind of concerned. Fuck, if we get a power outage and quarantine, we're fucked. Because this is the only thing keeping us sane is our internet and our electricity and our comforts, I'm fucking loving this quarantine. Aside from the week and a half that I was sick, I'm loving it.
So, did you have a cough? Did your chest hurt?
Yeah, let me get back to that. Yeah, so I kind of got way off track from talking about my supplies. So the 12th, I kind of got scared thinking, oh shit, I got something going on. So let me go and stock up on all the medication. And just in case, let me get lots of food too. I spent about $800 in 3 different places on food, supplies. I already had an N95 mask. I had a couple of those. I gave one to my daughter, kept one for myself from when I bought it a long time ago. So I felt like, let me just get supplies, and I got weapons because I thought things would be worse by now. What's today? Today is my 22nd day in quarantine, April 6th.
Really?
Yeah. So my first day of quarantine was the 15th, the day after work. That was my first official day.
I suspect it's going like what 10 million people in 2 weeks they filed for unemployment.
Yeah.
And that's underreported because of the people that actually couldn't get through if the website was crashing or
yeah,
they couldn't get through on the phone.
I was told not to do that because it's going to be worse for me because with my company, luckily enough, I have some savings. And well, I have my business and then I work for a company part time. So the company said they told me if I just do these assessment courses online, they'll pay me 40 hours a week for 1 week at least. So that will help me get through that. And then I'm relying on the stimulus check. I paid my rent today, actually. But I can't pay anymore if I'm not getting any more income because I need my money for food and other shit, as everyone else does. So I would have the money for rent for like all the way to like, say, maybe July. But after this month, we don't get stimulus checks. I'm not going to spend money on rent anymore. I'm going to do my own freeze and tell my landlord, look, I need a way of making money. I can't do it. Even if I do make money, there's no way I can make enough. I've got child support to pay, which they're not slowing that down either. Even though my daughter would be better off with me, staying with me. Instead, I'm just sending him $350, which is good. She needs it, maybe, right? But I'm not making any money. So it's a shitty situation for everybody, unless you're in the medical field.
Well, I'm a pharmacy tech, so I'm lucky that I get to work from home. Like what happened was Ryan, I'm sorry, my husband Ryan, he also works in a pharmacy setting, and somebody where he works was possibly infected. They had the symptoms of unable to breathe, fever, a dry cough. So they sent him home, and I thought, well, fuck, like if Ryan was exposed to him, I was exposed to him through Ryan, my husband.
Yeah.
So I told my manager, I was just like, it's possible that I have been exposed to the to the virus.
Yeah.
And then that day they told everybody, because they had asked people like, hey, who wants to work from home? And they were kind of dragging their feet about it, like taking forever. And it's just like, we were supposed to be working from home 2 months ago. So I don't know why y'all are taking so long to get us all home. But I went to go tell them, right? Like, it's possible that I was exposed to them. Like, I haven't had any symptoms, but I wanted to let y'all know. And then that night, they're like, anybody that could work from home, take your stuff because you're going to start working from home.
Yeah, that's what they should have done it much earlier. Like, even with my company,
earlier.
My company, I think the wake-up call should have been that day we went to the quarantine. March 3rd, we should have been shut down.
I still can't believe they did that. That is so...
Yeah, so it's very shady.
For them to walk around like if they're invincible to the virus, like I don't know, they makes them look foolish. Like just because you're in the military doesn't mean that you're immune to any type of threat like that.
Yeah, but that was over a month ago. So I think I don't think they even knew like how it spreads. I thought maybe they thought it was from like direct contact. And of course, they've all had medical training. If you're that rank, you know the basics. You know CPR. Like probably how to like stick a pen in someone's throat to help them breathe or whatever. You know all that shit. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they get like annual training. So I kind of trusted that. I felt that I'm in good hands because I've got these top-notch, very valuable people to the U.S. government. Walking around like nothing. So I'm just a driver driving a bus. I'm just a little peasant to them. So I felt safe, but like I guess I'll get back to my symptoms because it was kind of gradual. So I don't remember which date it was. All I know is that Thursday is when I began to feel it. Friday is when I went to go and get the medication. Saturday I did a wine tour. I still felt fine. I just felt a little like itchy throat. Then Sunday was probably the 15th was it was my day one of quarantine. I knew that something was wrong. Like I was like, okay, this is a little different. This is probably a flu, fever, cold, for sure.
I read somebody described it as they said that they could feel their lungs.
Yeah.
Like that's how best they could describe it when the symptoms first started happening.
That's kind of what happened too. I felt like I was taking in deeper breaths, but it wasn't much of that yet. It was more like, I don't know if it was Sunday or maybe that Monday. I can look back on my timeline and, or I've been keeping like a little journal of the days. I can update that information later on, but it was that weekend or that Monday, I was legitimately just standing in my kitchen, eating a banana, peeled a banana and took a bite out of it. And I was wearing some shorts and my chanclas and a t-shirt. And I just felt, didn't feel the feeling, but I just felt like hot liquid going down my thigh.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not joking. I told you, sorry, right before your sister called me. And she was asking about it because she felt like she has symptoms and she's panicking and she has phlegm. Mm-hmm. And so she called me to ask me about my symptoms. And I told her the same thing. Usually I've sharted before. Like, I think you've witnessed one. You may have.
Yes.
You may have witnessed one of my sharts. I've only had a handful, maybe like 3 or 4 of them in my entire life. I've had full-on diarrhea in my jeans. But I know what it feels like. I know what to expect, you know?
That urging feeling and like...
Yeah, like, oh shit.
Loose muscles, yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta clench your asshole and get to a toilet quick. That
didn't happen.
None of that
happened.
It
just fell out.
It just leaked. Like, the only thing I felt was the actual liquid. And I looked down and it was like this yellow... It looked like this yellow liquid, kind of like diesel fuel.
Are you sure it just wasn't discharge?
I don't know what discharge is out of your asshole, but... What is that? I've never had discharge out of my asshole.
I don't know.
I've never experienced that, so whatever it was the first time I experienced it. That was a couple of days after I started feeling sick. That was the first thing that happened where I was like, oh shit, what is this? Because I went to the toilet, and on my toilet seat, when I sat down, I got, of course, the liquid all over my thigh. So I immediately threw all my boxers, my shorts into the shower. Excuse me, to rinse it off. Sorry, I'm hiccuping, not reacting. So I took my shorts and my boxers, threw them in the shower, hosed them off with the shower, and but then I had like yellow liquid all over the fucking toilet seat, and it was gross. It was fucking gross. So I had to take a shower immediately afterwards. Like, wiping it didn't even do anything. It was just liquid. It's like I pissed out of my asshole, but it looked like diesel fuel, like this bright yellow, like yellow. It looked bright yellow, and sorry.
So, did you have a dry cough or phlegm or?
Not at that point. I had like an itchy throat at that point. And no phlegm at all throughout the whole thing. The phlegm didn't happen until like this week, and I think it's from allergies. But
did you have a fever?
The fever came later too. So first, it was
that when you were on Instagram Live because you looked sweaty reading off your Facebook status?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, that. Okay, so I did another podcast which I'll probably never release, and maybe I'll do a Patreon episode or something. Me just reading off my timeline of from March 2nd all the way till that present day, which was a couple of weeks ago, and it was like it was 2 hours. It was a 2-hour podcast.
I kept going in and out to watch you, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
And you were just like, you could tell you were sick and you were sweaty, and you were just like looking at your computer, just reading off your Facebook status.
Yeah. I did another one too, like the day that I started to feel better, and I looked at the video and I'm like, man, I was really fucking sweaty. I looked like I had a fever, but I just felt hot. But the fever wasn't even that bad. So that was the weird diarrhea. And then that diarrhea squirt was followed for about a day and a half. I probably had maybe 5 more diarrheas, but the other ones, luckily enough, I knew they were coming. So I went to the toilet. The first one, I didn't have any idea. I didn't cough or sneeze or fart. No.
I imagine you standing there and it happening, and then you looking up and going, what the hell?
Yeah, because I felt it. And then I looked down on my right thigh, down the back of my knee, and I'm like, I just saw this shit dripping down. So I immediately went to the toilet, and I knew with my boxers and shit too. It was like it just came out, like it just leaked. Never in my life. I'm 37. I've never had that happen before. Not without knowing it was happening first, like with no indication. So that scared me. And then I looked up the symptoms because it was after the diarrhea incident. I looked up the symptoms, and I think it was like in 20% cases, you have diarrhea. But some of it was vomiting, some of it was diarrhea, but most of it was just cough and fever. And so it was about maybe within a day later, I got my first fever. And it was a very quick fever. It was like 10 minutes or so. And I felt hot. I'm not even joking. I got really, really hot. And then like my head felt really hot and my neck felt hot. And I'm like, fuck. And then it went away. I'm like, okay.
You're saying you had a 10-minute fever.
I'm not even joking. That's the thing that was weird about it. I had about maybe 5 fevers the entire time. Later on that same night, I work out because I worked out for like about an hour 20 minutes, and as some of my listeners know that I used to be a vegetarian, but now I'm an omnivore again, and so I cooked this steak because I had like this slushy before to kind of like. It was packed with like the emergency, and I put spinach and bananas and orange juice, and I blended it and protein for my protein shake. So I put a bunch of shit into the smoothie. So and I even have this like green powder shit where it's like all these nutrients like powdered. So I put all that shit in there for all my nutrients and my immunity building shit. And so I had that, and so afterwards, after my workout, I just had a steak. It was a big fat steak. Now I've been at this point I've been eating steak nearly every day because I kind of panic bought steak, and I filled up my freezer, but my freezer got full, so I needed to put things that had to be frozen in there and take some of the steaks out. So the ones that were like going to expire first, that had maybe about a 5-day wait, I put those in my fridge. So I was trying to eat them as quick as possible so they wouldn't go bad. So I had a steak a day. So I got this big giant like New York strip steak. I'm eating that. I had a Dark and Stormy, which is like a rum, ginger beer, lime.
And this was
drink.
before you had the diarrhea accident?
No, after. This is like.
Oh, okay.
This is like later on that day. So the diarrhea accident, or could have been the day after. I think it was it was the day after, because the diarrhea thing happened the whole day, and then I felt a little bit better the next day. The diarrhea went away after midday the next day, and
when did you start to feel better?
Well, it wasn't okay. I had to feel worse before I got better. So this was. Let me look at a calendar. Hold on, because that's going to help me a little bit. So here I am. What did I say? March 12th, 13th, 14th. So about the 16th is when the diarrhea happened. The 17th, I remember. It was St. Patrick's Day. I remember drinking a Dark and Stormy to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I had a beer as well. I was like, oh shit, I got to have a pecan beer because St. Patrick's Day, I got to do something. So that was 17th of March. That's when I was about to watch The Irishman. That's what I was watching because it was St. Patrick's Day.
I still haven't finished that.
I haven't even started it, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So I was going to watch The Irishman. It was about 10:30, 11 at night, and I'm eating my steak. I got my Dark and Stormy, and I just finished working out maybe half an hour prior. And so my body was a little heated, and my heart rate was still up. And I started to watch The Irishman on St. Patrick's Day, so that helps me because I remember that movie that day. And that's when I felt this like weird fucking headache fever thing. I started the movie, Netflix thing popped up, the opening credits happened, and then immediately I started getting the headache along with the fever. My neck felt really fucking burning up hot. Now I couldn't take my temperature because my ex stole my thermometer. H-E-B, Walgreens, everyone was out of thermometers. And I ordered one from Amazon, which wouldn't come for a week, and then that got stolen. It was in my package. I finally got a thermometer when it was too late, when I no longer had a fever. But my point is, I couldn't measure my temperature. I just knew I felt really hot on the 17th. That's the 17th. It was so distracting. I couldn't even, like, all the words on the screen were blurry. It had this, like, opening, like, thing writing in the beginning. It was so blurry that I couldn't concentrate, and I just, like, turned off the movie and went to bed. I woke up the next day on the 18th in a cold sweat. And so it was pretty much the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th is when I had it the worst. The 18th, I'm like fevering like 4 times that day. That's when I'm like, okay, I pretty much have that. And that's when my breathing started to get a little more difficult. It was like the 17th and the 18th. So that all happens. And I noticed, okay, the breathing thing is what scared me. I'm taking bigger, deeper breaths. Like, it felt like somebody was sitting on my chest. You know, like it wasn't like a painful thing. It wasn't like it hurts to breathe. It was more like uncomfortable. Like I could not get comfortable. So
I wonder if it feels like because you know how like if you were like to bury yourself in sand from the neck down,
yes.
And the more you breathe in, like the closer it gets and the less you could breathe.
Kind of, but it doesn't do that caving in thing where it makes it harder to breathe. It sustains the same. So it's like if, I don't know if you ever like play wrestled with your dad when you're little, like I did. But if they sit on your chest, or if someone heavy sits on your chest or like your torso, it's not like you're dying. You're not suffocating. It's just harder to breathe.
Yeah,
and that's what it felt like. It felt like I was taking a giant breath, like, but it wouldn't feel like it was fulfilling. It felt like I still needed more breath, and so. And I remember like the end of the 18th is when I started to hear like this kind of like slushiness, and that's what scared me. I'm like, shit, I'm probably getting pneumonia. So I'm kind of like just monitoring myself, making sure everything's fine. 19th comes along, same thing as the 18th. I get a couple of fevers. So the 18th, the morning of the 18th, I wake up in a cold sweat. Like my sheets are completely soaked. I have to like take them off the bed immediately, get in the shower because I'm like soaking wet from sweating. I thought maybe usually when that happens, it's the end of my sickness. That's usually when like I begin to heal. If I have like the flu or even allergies, sometimes I get that 24, 48 hour allergies where like I just kind of feel a bit feverish and then, you know, it goes away. So that happened on the 18th, the morning of the 18th. 19th, it was just kind of bad all day. Now, you know what I forgot to mention? It was, the 18th night going into the 19th morning, I didn't sleep till 7 a.m. on the 19th. And I was breathing really heavily on the 19th. And that's when my mother was staying with my brother in California on that day. And my brother's boyfriend just so happens to be a cancer doctor. So my mother told him everything. And then he tries to get an appointment for me for the 19th at night. He wants me to go to the ER. And I'm like, I don't feel that bad. I don't feel like I need to go to the ER.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more people, and he got me the hookup. You know, he called the doctors and set up an appointment for me and everything. And he said, look, I'll get you seen right away and all that. And I'm like thinking of the cost. I don't want to be, even my fucking co-payment. My insurance is shitty. I don't want to have to pay anything.
Isn't it crazy? Like even with our insurance, like
it's ridiculous.
Even though we're like, oh, I don't want to go because I'm going to have a co-payment or I have a deductible to meet. And it's just, I'm not going to be able to pay it.
Yeah, and even to get tested, it's like an inconvenience. And, you know, before, and I'll get to that in a minute about my testing.
You actually got a test?
No, but I'll tell you about the situation. So I'm on the phone with my doctor the day of the 19th, and he tells me to do this online assessment to make sure, to see if I have it. And he told me to send him the results, so tell him the results, and I did. And so he said, yeah, it looks like you need to go and get a test. So he set up an appointment. I set up an appointment because I had gone through the line on the online to WellMed. Oh, what was it? Not WellMed. Some local San Antonio.gov site to something, I don't know, in healthcare. So I went onto that site like he told me to. I did the assessment. It shows I probably have it from my symptoms, like the heavy breathing, the fevers, etc. So I set up my next available appointment. This is on the 19th, is on the 31st, which is like a week and a half away. So I had to wait all that time to get my test done. Well, anyway, so then my brother's boyfriend sets up the appointment for me to go to the ER the night of the 19th. I wake up, I go to sleep at 7 a.m., wake up at 11 a.m. I feel better at this point. but he wanted me to go to the ER, and I'm like, I'm too fucking tired. Sorry, the night of the 19th. But I was like, I only got like 4 hours of sleep. I don't want to like go to the ER and have them poking at me and shit for like 6 hours under fluorescent lights. I'd like, let me just go to bed, wake up on Friday, and if I feel worse or the same, I'll go to the ER. But I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to go to the ER. I thought that was like overkill. So Friday, I felt a little bit better. My breathing was a little bit better. I could breathe easier. And then it just got better from there. So ever since, I never fully recovered 100%. I still feel like something in my lungs. I feel like a little heaviness in my lungs.
Even right now?
Yeah. It's like a it's not painful, it's nothing. It's just like I know it's there. And my itchy throat's still there. It's just something that hasn't gone away. It feels like there's something in my body. I'm not sick, but I'm not well. Like I'm not 100%. I'm like 90% better. But
And it's been almost a month.
Yeah, I think about the 12th is when what's today, the 6th? Yeah, so about 3 weeks of experiencing this, but the bulk of it was between, I'd say, like the 15th to the 22nd. Was that Mother's Day or is that English Mother's Day?
I think it's English Mother's Day.
It says Mother's Day on the 22nd. So from the 15th to the 22nd, yeah, that's when I felt the bulk of my sickness. And then since then, it's just... Sorry?
Yeah, I didn't know that you were still feeling like not 100%.
Yeah, it's still like, I feel like if I were to get tested today, which I'm not opposed to, as much as I'm dreading that fucking stick in my face, I could do it. Because, okay, so we're going to get testing, right? So I went up to a place called Direct Med on the 31st, and they, you pretty much, you stay in your car, they come to your window, and they stick a stick in your face, and then they send you home. They'll suit you up or whatever and bring you in if they have to. But if you're like in a bad situation, if you're very sick, they'll suit you up and bring you inside. But if you're doing okay, your symptoms aren't too bad, they'll come to your car and perform the test there. So I didn't have a written doctor's referral. At that time in that place, they were only taking people that had referrals because they were limited on testings.
My fucking God, are you serious?
Yes. I'm sorry, we can't test you because we need a written referral. Well, my doctor told me to come here, and he told me to go on the site and set up my appointment. I'm sorry, sir, we need a written referral. So I left, no test, and then shortly after that, like a day later, I mentioned on social media, and people were like, "Oh, you can go to this place for the drive-through thing." Well, I've already felt much better at this point. I'm like, even if it does show up, I get a stick in my face, and then it shows up negative, or it shows up positive, and it tells me what I already know. And I'm just staying by myself in quarantine in my apartment anyway. So what's the point? What's the difference, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much my timeline. And so probably from about, let's say, like the 24th until about now, I've been feeling much better. Well, the 6th, right? So for about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, I felt pretty good.
It's just, I find it crazy. Like, what was it in South Korea? They were like testing like 10,000 people per day.
Yeah.
And here it's just like,
they're
sorry,
limited.
we need a doctor referral.
Well, they were very limited. I'm not making excuses for them, but they were very limited. They had to ration the tests because because of the unorganization and lack of preparation. We don't have supplies, medical supplies, tests, all that shit. Because, of course, this was a hoax. It was never meant to be, you know. It was never meant. We were supposed to have like 5 cases in the United States. They were going to get quarantined, and that would be the end of it. But because of the disorganization, people still not taking it seriously. It's funny. I went to the park like a few days ago, and I keep like 25 feet away from people. I see someone coming up on the bike. I go on the opposite side of the street. Like I don't want to get their breath in my face or even, spread it if I have it. So the only thing I touch is my doorknob, and I don't touch a thing. I stay away from everything, like 25 feet away from every living thing, except for trees. And I saw these people they're 6 feet apart, but they were playing catch. About 12 kids, teenagers, and they're throwing a football to each other.
Wow.
Every fucking one of them touched it. So they're defeating the purpose. Yeah, they're keeping the 6 feet apart, but you're fucking throwing a football to each other, you idiots. And then there's like people in the gazebo, like 15 of them just congregating, hanging out like nothing. Like, oh, we're outside. Yeah, but anyway. So I see a lot of shit like that. Nobody's taking it seriously.
And yeah, I haven't. The only time I leave is to go get my necessities, like
yeah,
groceries and whatnot. Why are you laughing?
Well, I was just thinking of that bare necessities meme, but go for it. Because you hear it, like, we're only here too, and you see, like, what are their names? I can't think of their names right now. The bear and the kid. I can't think of their names.
Oh,
Jungle Book.
Mowgli
and the other one. Yeah, I don't know names. But yeah, you see their picture, and there's just like the rear view of them, and you're like, you only leave the house to get and then it just shows those two, and you sing it in your head. Anyway, I thought about that right now. That's why. The bare necessities.
Baloo.
Baloo. Yeah. There we are.
But yeah, like, I don't know why nobody is I don't know, maybe it's because like maybe because it happened to you, and I've worked in the pharmacy and I've seen like sickness, so
yeah,
it's not something that
I
could just brush off and be like, we'll be okay. Like, I'm so happy that I don't work in retail pharmacy anymore, because that's where people go when they're sick. Like, automatically it's like to the hospital and then to the pharmacy, or they just go straight to the pharmacy and ask the pharmacist what they could take.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that and
you know what's crazy is that I feel like 2 of my neighbors have just contacted it. I let everyone know. So I'm on a group text with my neighbors. I live in an apartment building with 6 units. So in the beginning of all this, it's like, let's take care of each other, because I've already had 3 criminal things happen since all this went down, since the lockdown. So I had someone like break into my neighbor's car and like look at my car, and I have it on camera. And then I had someone steal my package with like my fucking supplies in it, medical supplies and some weapons. And I had my thermometer and some other things in there. They stole that, and then I put a bait package out, and somebody stole that too. So like, we've had a little bit of criminal activity happen. So I'm like, hey, I set up a group text for everyone in the building, and like, just to keep track, like, hey, don't let anyone else, any outsiders in, and all that type of thing. I let them know that I probably have COVID-19. And I told them, like, look, if I do leave, I'm going to wear gloves and a mask, and I'm only using the back door. The back door is like the least used door, and there's 3 different doors going into the building. And so they just know that. I've been using that door by myself. They haven't. And so now, like, 2 of my neighbors may have it. One of them's in the clinic right now. Seriously, 1 hour ago, she sent out a text in the mass text saying, let's see what she said. She said something about like being feverish. The other neighbor I have, her sister is in the medical field, and she's been exposed, and she feels that she may have it. So the other neighbor, the one I just mentioned, just an hour ago, she says, just FYI, at Texas Med Clinic with fever, sore throat, and body aches. We'll update you guys as soon as I'm tested. I told my aunt, so she probably is very anxious right now in case you see her. Now, her aunt is in her 60s, maybe 70s, so she's like fucking anxious about it. And she didn't tell her aunt that I had it because she didn't want her freaking out, because she's already panicking as it is. And so I told her, like, I'm going to stay in my place. I'm not leaving for anything for like 2 weeks. And I didn't. It wasn't until very recently I started going outside. So I've been here in lockdown since the 15th. Like, and I love it. Like, I have a lot to do. I've got my studio here. I've got my workout room. I've got all the food I need. I got my streaming services. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good here. This is my dream in a way, to have like house arrest just to get all the shit done. Because I was working so fucking much that I didn't have time to edit videos or, do a little promo for my business or whatever it was. I just didn't have the time. So luckily enough, I've got some savings, last me for a few months, and then
when is this supposed to when is it the lockdown supposed to end here?
We're saying till the end of April, but I did see some paperwork that someone posted and it got taken down. And it was supposed to be a nationwide 6-month lockdown till the beginning of September.
Yeah, but everyone's been saying they know somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah, but I saw this form and I saw it with
Where, on Facebook?
Yeah, but it was from a trusted source. And now we're gonna get into this in a minute, but my aunt sent me some videos of China, which every time you try to upload those videos, it gets taken down. It won't even like upload. It'll say error. And I watched the guy do it, like try to do it, and I'll send
What's
it to you.
What's in the videos?
It's people in China like with these trucks and these like kind of like pesticides spraying the streets and all that. And you got these guys in hazmat suits spraying it, and then you see like hundreds of bodies like out in the street for like pickup day. Like they're wrapped in sheets, and it's just like a whole street row of bodies just there. And I remember like kind of talking about how the numbers are not accurate, like China numbers.
Yeah, like I don't like what was it? Recently, Italy had surpassed the deaths of China? More deaths than China, and I was just like, that is not fucking true. That isn't even remotely true. I don't believe anything that China says. They have so much control over their media that they could really say anything that they want.
Yeah, and there's doctors who have been kidnapped and killed and shit for the same reasons, like whistleblowers and shit. It's I don't trust it either, and I've seen the videos and it looks pretty brutal. Like, how do you only have 800 deaths or whatever, or was it 88,000 or whatever it was
in the country that it originated in? That's just not.
No, there's no way, and they have more people than any other country in the world.
And I was reading they said about 21 or 22 million cell phones have deactivated in China.
Whoa.
And the reason that's a big deal is because in China, you can't do anything without your phone. Like your bank accounts on there, your something like their social security numbers on there. They even have like their own little scam bar on there that tells them if like they've been infected or if they're good to go. Wow. Like everything they do is on their phone. So it being deactivated isn't something that I guess that would happen regularly. Like it's some, because just their whole life is on there. So, and like 21 or 22 million cell phones in China just like deactivated.
That's insane. I didn't know about that. But I did see the videos, and it was like people dead on benches and shit, like just passing out, dying.
God.
Yeah, like just it looks bad. It looks like World War II.
Yeah, and then they kicked out all the Western journalists. Like anybody, I guess, who isn't a Chinese journalist, they were kicked out of the country. Yeah. So there's no way for anybody to really know.
Yeah. There's two things I've said. On March 2nd, I posted this really long post about me being at the quarantine and how I, at that moment, knew how serious it was after talking to the U.S. Marshals and the commanding officer of the Navy. Department of Health Services is what it was. Anyway, after that, it woke me up, and I'm like, I came home and I'm looking on Facebook, and people are still joking about it and not taking it seriously, and people are still saying like, oh yeah, well, it's only like 2% of old people that can die from it, and everyone else is fine. It's no worse than the flu. And I'm like, you know what? I should say something. So I saw the pictures and shit, and I'm like, I saw the intensity of these people in hazmat suits spraying down luggage. Now, to me, that was my wake-up call. It looked like the beginning of 28 Weeks Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later, like when they said, we've lost control, and they do that shutdown, go, wah, wah, and then everything turns red, and then like they start shooting all the zombies, and everyone just is chaotic. It looked like the beginning of that. It looked like they have control right now, but they're going to lose control. And we lost control. Look what happened. It was contained for a few days, and then like it just, New York and New Jersey, anyone who traveled, they spread it. So
yeah, and they keep praising the governor. What's his name? Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
But he recently cut Medicaid funding in his state.
Really?
During a pandemic. And then all these stupid horny wine moms are like calling him like daddy governor, and like it's just fucking gross.
Is he the brother of the news
Chris
guy?
Cuomo. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like he took forever like to put in the lockdown in place. He doesn't want to raise taxes on the rich to like cover the costs that, you know, everything's going to cost
Yeah.
to help this pandemic. And then he's cutting funding to Medicaid in his state. And yet all the fucking liberals are horny for him and want him to replace Joe Biden. And it's just like everything's so fucking gross.
Yeah. So for my listeners, you should tell them about what your podcast is kind of about, because you kind of talk about politics. We don't really in this one, but
oh, okay.
No. We're not against it. We're not against talking politics. I just choose not to. It's not, I'm not very well versed in, you know, politics. So I'm not going to bother touching it.
I'll talk about whatever, really, but since nobody else.
What is your podcast about? Just so for people who want to listen to yours, my listeners want to move over to yours. Like, what do you talk about? What's the Dirty Purse podcast about?
We mostly just talk about like politics, but I'm really opening to talking about whatever.
Yeah.
But no, like the other people, Jessica and Leo, like I'll ask them like, so what do you want to talk about? And they don't really, I guess, input what they want to say. So if you're going to give me, you know, full control and I'm going to say whatever I want to say, I'm going to talk about politics.
Yeah.
But really, I'm open to talk about anything.
Yeah. So I want to talk about my March 2nd post on Facebook. I don't know if you were on my Facebook at that time. I know you don't really use Facebook, so
no, I deactivate and then I go in, I deactivate. It's just
Well, I posted a post, and I actually originally posted the pictures I took. I very stealth-like took some pictures from inside the bus, and it shows like the medical waste truck. It shows like the luggage in the plastic, and it shows like that fence I told you about, like the opening with the tent.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't supposed to take pictures. We're okay to take pictures, but not of the people. And I didn't take pictures of any of the people. But I posted 3 pictures I took there to show people, like, look how fucking serious this is. Stop joking about it. Like, joke about it, yeah. And on my post I said, yeah, you could joke about it, but take it seriously too. Like, laugh about it, but take it seriously. And that was on the 2nd. And then like I reposted it on the 12th because like, look, you guys didn't take me seriously. Look where we're at now, you know? I said, like, this isn't just a flu. This is very serious. And, like, nobody on the 2nd gave a shit about it. It's never going to come here. It's not a big deal. It's just a flu. 10 days later, on the 12th, is when people begin to panic. That's when they're panic buying shit. They're staying indoors. You know, people are, like, slowly not working anymore. By the end of that week, of course, like, nobody's working anymore. You know, that was on... the 12th was on a Thursday. By the 19th... of March, pretty much everything's shut down. Or it wasn't until like maybe the week after that everything was shut down. But like that's when people began taking it seriously. Well, in my early days too, on the 12th, I also predicted, just from doing calculations of China and Italy and all that, I calculated that there were going to be about 21,000 deaths in America from this. And this is like when the numbers were really low. Well, today, last time I checked, it was half of that. Let me take a look at it. This is going to change every hour, but like this exact moment, you go onto Google and you look at coronavirus, and then you go to get these numbers, you go to statistics, and currently, let me read it out loud. At this time, Monday, the August the 6th, at 6:36 p.m. A lot of sixes there. We have worldwide 1,331,032 confirmed cases, 275,851 recovered, and 73,917 deaths. So about 74,000 people have confirmed dead right now. United States confirmed 364,000. I'm just going to round it up. Recovered 20,000, and deaths close to 11,000. So we're only 10,000 away from what I predicted, and now they're saying it could go into 100,000, 200,000 if we don't contain it. Like best case scenario, 100,000 people die from this. So 9/11, what was it, about 3,500?
Yeah, about that.
That was traumatic because it happened all at once. This is a little bit slower. We can't see what's happening. It's not as terrorizing, lack of a better term. But it's bigger than 9/11. It's much bigger than 9/11. But it's the best case apocalyptic scenario possible, where you have a staycation, and that's the way you can get through it. Is stay at home.
I saw on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't know who said it, but somebody had put this is the closest millennials will ever get to a retirement.
Yes,
like, that's so fucked up.
And it's so fucking true because
it is.
It feels like it, but we're not really getting paid. You don't get paid much in retirement, and you just stay at home and do whatever and catch up on your shows and connect with people. Pretty much, we're doing what retired people do. They just get on Skype or on, in this case, Zoom or Facebook Live, FaceTime, whatever it is, and they just talk to their nephews and nieces. And usually people our age, we don't have time for that really, so we just hand the phone off to the kids and. And so that's what you do as a retired person. You do all the things you want to do, except we can't do the fishing part and the vacations and cruises. But aside from that, we're doing the staying at home bit, and we're getting paid partial salary. We're not. Nobody's getting paid right now, but I haven't got a penny yet since my last job on the 14th.
I just think it's gonna get. I think it's gonna get a lot more dangerous because, like I said earlier, the 10 million people within 2 weeks have filed for unemployment. Mm-hmm. And what are people going to do when they have nowhere to live and nothing to eat?
Well, I think we have to collectively put our foot down, be like, look, we can't pay rent. We're not paying rent. You can't make all of us fucking homeless. You can't make millions of people homeless. It's fucking stupid.
But if there's nobody there to back the American people, we say that, you can't just make us all homeless, but during this pandemic, we've seen that nobody in government is on our side. Yeah. So there's nobody to stop those landlords from actually making us homeless.
Yeah. And I like I said, I paid my rent today. I like my landlord. And so I'm going to tell him this in a couple of weeks. We're supposed to get our stimulus check starting on the 9th of this month, which is on Thursday. It's Monday now. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to get it beginning on the 9th. It's what I've last read. I don't know what it is now, but we could look it up. Anyway, and then Easter's coming up. Holy shit, look at that. Anyway, so if that happens, that'd be good. That will keep me, at least it'll pay my rent and my child support. And that will be fine with me. The rest of it, I'll put into savings. I'll pay my electricity and my, internet shit, my streaming services. I'll pay all that out of my pocket with my savings. That's cool, whatever. But if you can take care of my rent and child support, that will help me a great deal. Because I got savings, I'll be fine. But without that, I can't pay rent anymore because I need this money for food. What's going to happen when I run out of money? I can't ask people to donate food to me when they don't have money themselves. They're going to start giving away food. What's going to happen? So I have to kind of take care of myself before I take care of rent.
And there's people who that $1,200 check isn't even going to cover their rent, depending on where they live.
For sure. Yeah, mine, I'm lucky enough to be paying a little under that. So, but yeah, there are other places where that's just a studio apartment somewhere,
Yeah, that's nothing to some people.
Yeah, especially places where they need it the most, in New York, in LA,
mm-hmm.
where you have a lot of cases, a lot of confirmed cases. And so not only is your family dying, you can't pay rent and you can't work. There's nothing you could do. You have to just wait it out. And they want you to stay home. No, people are hustling right now. And that's the shitty thing is people are looking to, hey, does anyone need me to get you groceries? I'll do it for $10.
That's crazy.
So now you got more people trying to hustle and get out and do shit because they need work because they can't work and they're looking to do things. Hey, and I have a Nextdoor app, right? I have people saying hey, I'm a handyman. Anything you can need me to do, I'll come to your house. This is the worst fucking thing.
And it's crazy because they passed a stimulus package where corporations are getting bailed out and they're getting, what is it, about $2 to $4 trillion?
Yeah.
And then we're just getting $1,200 and that's it. That's it. Just $1,200 fucking dollars.
In England, they're paying 80% of the salary. 80% of your salary. Just stay home. We're going to get through this.
And in Canada, if you lost your job, I think they're paying you like $2,000 a month for like 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, and that would be fine with me. I could get through with that. It wouldn't be as much as I'm making, but like that would do well. To stay at home and do not a fucking thing. Yeah, give me $2,000 for unemployment. That'd be great. 1,200 even. But we need that every month. We need that minimum every month.
We need, I think, a minimum of 2,000 a month.
I agree, but we could scrape by with 1,200.
No, we shouldn't have to scrape by. If the corporations can get like trillions of fucking dollars, we shouldn't have to scrape by.
And that's the point I made too on Facebook was
and that should never be an option of we should just scrape by.
If there was a Pearl Harbor like attack, immediately, the very fucking within a few hours, we would have these multi-million-dollar planes flying out to whatever country they think could have bombed us. For sure, they'd come up with that money. That money would just magically appear, and we would have all this money for funding, for people recruiting in the military. More people would be getting paid in the military. That would happen within hours. Like, that's an emergency situation. I made a point on one of my posts, like, if you have it's like, okay, so in the United States, you spend 54% of your tax goes to the military, for sure, defense, right? Which is ridiculous, because you could cut that in half, or even cut it more than half, and have 25% of your taxes go to the military, and by far, you would still have the strongest, most wealthiest military in the entire world. By far. Like, by 5-6 times. So, if you cut that in half, you could put the other, what is that, 28%? Is that, am I doing math right? 54? No, 29%, right? 29% of that could go to healthcare and education. Split that down the middle. Distribute it evenly. And that would help the country dramatically. We'd have universal healthcare immediately. But the way America's logic is, let's put 54% of everything into defense to defend the country. Well, we still get pandemics. We still get terrorist attacks. Right? I'm saying we as like, I'm American, but I'm here. I live here. I've been here 18 years. I think I can say that by now. I paid all these taxes. Anyway, so that's like having a $200,000 house, but putting $280,000 into security. Am I doing that math? Like, am I doing like hiring guards and dogs and electric fences and cameras
for your $200,000 house?
Yeah. Like, am I doing the math correctly? Or maybe let's take half of that. Even if you have a $200,000 house and you're paying 100, maybe that's more accurate, right? Like,
yeah.
Like let's just say 108,000, right? That's how much you're putting into your fucking security. You got like security guards in cars and shit, like, you know, old like retired military police officers or whatever, you know, like private investigators. You got cameras, these state of the art cameras all around the place. You got barbed wire and electric fences for your fucking $200,000 house. Like, it's ridiculous. If anyone had that, they'd look like a fucking idiot. Like, you're putting all that, you're putting 54% of what your house is worth into fucking security, you fucking idiot. Why not put it into things like, you could get a fucking like personal nurse in your house, you know, for a fraction of that price. You know, just have an in-house nurse, you know.
And we also don't make anything here. Like, all of our supplies and medication are made in other countries, and they're all hoarding it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we're left, you know, with nothing.
Yeah.
And then they could invoke the, what is it called? The Defense Production Act.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually used during wartime, so like we could make more of our own goods, but like nobody's doing that. You know, they could. What was it? China made a hospital. They built a hospital in a week, a brand new hospital.
Really?
Yeah. And like we can't even make like a GM like turn their factories into factories that make like the protection gear that the hospitals need.
Yeah.
Or the ventilators that they need. Like, we're not doing anything. Did you see like some of the hospital staff? I forgot in what state. Maybe it was Chicago. They were wearing trash bags because they didn't have any of that protective gear.
It's so silly. I've already like put together my hazmat suit, which is kind of funny. It involves my rabbit mask and a
No,
katana blade. But
but I think one of the persons, one of the people in the picture that was wearing trash bags, I think they actually died from the
wow, because they're
virus.
not even getting enough protection with that rinky dink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is that's why I'm staying indoors. Like, if I do go out, I'm making a big deal about it. Like, if I go into a public place, like the grocery store or whatever, I'm going to be like suited up because if I did have it, which I'm not 100% sure, I feel like I did. I will get tested and give you an update. But if I did have it, to get it again the second time is actually, we thought in the beginning you can't get it again. Like, you're immune to it. Your body's fought it
Yeah.
off. But now they're saying it's even more deadlier the second time because the damage is done and it will just pick up where it left off. And that's scary. And that's why like I feel like I may have it because I still have this lingering feeling. Like, it's a permanent feeling I have. Like, I can't take the breaths I used to have. And I don't know what it is. I've tried going outside and going on 4 or 5 mile walks. And I can't get rid of it. I can't get rid of this feeling. And I don't feel sick. I occasionally get a sneeze or something, like, you know, from allergies, but like I don't feel sick. I just feel incomplete. I don't feel 100%. And the itchiness in my throat is still there. It's been there the entire time. I'll cough occasionally just to clear my throat, but yeah, it's a weird thing. So I don't want to get it again if I even had it. I'm definitely not going to do that. So,
Well, and then they also said that it could leave scarring, so then your
Yeah.
lung capacity isn't as large as it used to be before that.
I think that's what happened. I think that is exactly it. Like, yeah, I don't feel sick. I just feel like I can't breathe the same as I did. It might just be with me for life. If I ever get pneumonia, I'll be more susceptible to not recovering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I again, I don't know for sure 100% that I have it or have had it, but I definitely feel very different than any other sickness I've had. And so I'm assuming that I'm treating myself as if I did have it or have it. But yeah, I will get tested sometime this week. I'm just kind of scared of that fucking stick in my face. I've seen videos. I'm like, oh man, it's like I've never had a tattoo, but it's like I know tattoos aren't that bad, but the anticipation or the thought of getting a tattoo to me would be like, oh, I don't know what it feels like, so I'm dreading it. You know, and I haven't had a tattoo for that reason. Also because I'm indecisive, but that's another story. But anyway, that's how I feel about the test. I'm like, I don't want to get it done. I don't feel it's completely necessary, but I do want to know.
What is it? They stick it up your nose or something?
Yeah, it's a long fucking like chopstick looking thing, and it has a swab at the end. And
Ooh.
they stick it really far in your nose. You hear the crunch. You hear the videos are bad. I was just seeing this one where the lady, they stuck up her nose, and you saw it in her eyes, and her eyes were like watery, and like I can't get hit. That's the one thing where I've been in a few fights in my life, and I'm fine. I can handle myself, but like the moment I get hit in the nose, I cannot see. I just see red, and I will kill whoever's in front of me because that's like the one thing I cannot handle is getting hit in
Oh
the
my
nose.
God. That's how my husband is.
Yeah,
Why is that?
it's like the most. It's like I lose it. Like
Yeah, that's how he is. It's just like that's how he described it too. I just see red, like
yeah, I get hit in the nose. That's it. And so I feel like, you know, you've seen my nose. It's like long and skinny.
yeah.
So it hurts if I get hit. It makes my eyes water, and I just want to kill whatever's in front of me. I don't care if you're trying to help me. Just if I get hit in the nose, get out of my way because I'm going to kill everything in my way. So I just feel like I know my nose is like the most sensitive thing. You know, I just feel like, oh, you're going to stick that in my fucking face, into my fucking brain? Like, what the fuck? I've seen pictures, I've seen diagrams, I've seen the videos, and also like I saw it happen in front of me, like from a distance, and I felt relieved that I couldn't get tested because I'm like, oh, I dodged a bullet that nearly went in my face.
But it's not. It doesn't take very long, right? It's just like
no, it's a few minutes, but they put it in there and they leave it for a little bit.
Oh, they
Yeah.
leave it in
It's
there.
not like they just stick it in and pull it out.
Oh.
No, it goes in there and it stays there. And I think they need to like let it collect or whatever. But I don't know how long exactly. I'm sure someone can tell us that. But like, it looks like it's more than 30 seconds, which you get a stick sticking out of your face. And I've seen a diagram where they go like straight into your head and another one where it goes straight up. I'm like, where's that stick going? Because that stick looks longer than like the head. It looks like it's in the back of the head already.
Inside the brain.
Yeah. So I'm like, where the fuck is it going? And so I don't know. Hopefully soon they can come up with a new way of testing it. Like, is that how they always test for the flu? Is that it? Is there another way?
I thought with the flu they tested it. I don't even know. I've never been tested for the flu.
Yeah, I don't have it either. I just know I have it and that's it. I don't need to get tested. I don't need a doctor's note. I just know I have the flu and there it is. And then I deal with it and I get over it. I had it really bad in 2012. It put me out. Like I used to work out regularly at that time. And it affected me so badly that like 6 weeks after I had the flu, my muscles were weak and I just couldn't recover. And like I lost a lot of muscle mass and couldn't get back into working out. So I remember that flu very well. That was the worst I've ever had it back in 2012. But anyway, yeah, I don't know how flus are tested. So maybe somebody could tell us that. Leave it in the comments. How are you seeing this or whatever? But anyway, so we covered China. We covered my experience. We talked about Italy a little bit. I'm sure people are pretty sick of this, but really it's just to kind of talk about our own personal experiences with it. And for people that didn't know what we're talking about. But we both, you're from a medical field. Can I say that?
I guess so, sort of, yeah.
You're an essential worker, right?
Yeah.
I'm an extremely non-essential worker. Like what I'm doing is just like leisure shit. So it's like, yeah. So I'm out of work. I'm projecting I'll lose anywhere from like $7,000 to $10,000 when this is all over. Like I probably won't be back in work till about like the end of May.
Really?
So I'm talking about like my part-time job plus my business. And my business is like I've had to refund over $4,000 already from canceled trips. Yeah.
Oh, and then there's the concert or the Rammstein concert we were supposed to go to in September.
Yep. I already sold like 4 buses of that, so I would have to refund that too, which is a lot of money. That's another 4,000 just Rammstein alone.
They haven't canceled it yet, right?
No, they haven't. No, but we did. Well, we're talking about that. So Till Lindemann, do you hear about that?
Yeah, I'm the one that sent you the link.
I can't remember. I had like 5 different people send me it because they know I'm
really?
They know I'm a big Rammstein fan. So I had like people sending me on Facebook and tagging me. So I
but
don't know.
Was that true? I read like different stuff. Like,
so he had pneumonia. That was a fact. He did not have COVID-19. He was in ICU. So it's partially true.
Wow.
So he wasn't in ICU because of COVID-19. He was in ICU because he had pneumonia from a flu. So it was kind of unrelated. He was confirmed negative for COVID-19, positive for the flu, did have pneumonia, is recovering fine. Hoping that those dates don't change. Hopefully we'll be back in business.
But I still feel weird, like being around people, you know?
Yeah. You mean like, afterwards? Yeah, when everything's turned back on again?
Well, is it ever going to be turned back on? Because it's going to come in waves.
It is going to come in waves.
Get worse in the fall.
Yeah. So when my business comes back up, if it even happens, even if it happens, I do have to pee. Let's pause right there. All right, and we're back with Marisa from the Dirty Purse Podcast.
You're stupid.
So what were we talking about before? I had to pee and you had to pee and we had to pee together.
Just, I don't know. Nothing's going to go back. I don't know if anything's going to go back to normal, or at least anytime soon.
Yeah. Well,
just because
I agree.
Our government isn't doing anything to, I guess, to make sure everything's in place, you know, having like a national lockdown.
Yeah.
And so it's going to come in waves to where we're going to have to continually go on lockdown. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I know what you mean. I completely agree. And I don't think my business could ever really come back Not this year. That sucks. I just started, like, officially started my business January 1st. Like, I made it a New Year's resolution to, like, I got like a tax license and all that stuff.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And so,
Did
like,
you apply for the small business loan?
not yet, not yet. I'm reason I haven't is because my job is still paying me, and I'm going to for sure. So that'll be my next thing. But like, I don't really need a loan. I just, I mean, I would like to. It sucks, Like, I don't want a loan. I don't want to give it. So
it's not. It's not a. It's you apply for it as a loan, but then it's I think it turns into like it later turns into a grant to where the government approves it as a grant, so it doesn't have to be paid back. But then to take that chance, like, what if they don't do that?
That's the thing. But the thing is, if I do get that money, I'm not going to spend it unless I absolutely have to. So I'll just not spend that money. So that's why I haven't done that yet. But my job, they said, they're going to pay me 40 hours to do this 8 hours of assessment, watching videos. I posted them on my Facebook, actually. So if you follow me on Facebook, you could see I record the live, just me going through the tests and with a little bit of influence from some alcohol and a brownie to help me get through them. But anyway, first one I did with the brownie, second one I did with alcohol and a brownie, and third one I'll probably do sober. Anyway, what was my point? Things turning back on. My business is pretty much dead because my business includes, putting 30 to 50 people on an enclosed bus and hanging out for 8 hours, going to different tours as a party bus. So, I mean, it's probably the most non-essential job in existence. But you know what? When I do that, I am going to be doing specials for people in the medical field for sure. Like, if they're working their asses off and then they get to have a break and go on a wine tour or whatever, just drive around the fucking loop and just party together, So, I mean, I am going to bounce back hard, but I have no idea when that's going to be. I can't project when it's going to happen because, like you said.
So what are you going to do for income?
I don't know. What is anyone going to do? What are most people going to do? Who
create podcasts and hope people listen and pay them.
Yeah. Like, hopefully the people in the medical field, they're working overtime. They could put some money, we could let them, I don't know, because it's like an asshole thing to say too. Like, hey, now that you're working so hard, thank you for your service. Now give us your money.
Yeah, I saw
they're making all the money.
I saw on Twitter some woman, she said her father's a doctor and that they're cutting his salary and other hospital employee salaries because elective surgery, they're not doing that right now, so that's a huge chunk of, I guess, that hospital's income or what they get. And so since they're not getting that money, they're cutting their pay. And it's like, how do you cut doctors and nurses' pay during a pandemic?
I know. Nothing makes sense. Like, I have people on Facebook saying like, hey, look, here's my GoFundMe. I need money. I don't have money for food. I've been laid off. I work in the service industry and I didn't, save and this and that. And like, hey, please help me. I need money for food. And I'm like, I don't even have money to give you because the money I have, I'm not getting back. Like, my income, I have no income, zero income. So all the money I have is being spent, but I'm not replacing it. So I can't even afford to give you anything. I can't afford to give anyone anything. I need to take care of myself because nobody's going to take care of me. I don't have family. I don't have the government to give me checks. My job's trying. They're trying to like hold on to us all because they're like, we don't want you getting unemployment because it'll be harder for you to come back and you have to go through all the certifications again. And, we might not be able to afford to take you back. So my job is recommending that we don't go the unemployment route, to just stay put, and he'll come up with creative ways to pay us while we're not working. So I'm relying on that and the stimulus check, and we'll see what happens next month in May when we have to pay rent again and nobody's working still.
And there's not another check coming.
There's not another check coming.
I don't know what they expect. I don't know what they're thinking or what they think is going to happen with a nation that has empty bellies and fully loaded guns. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I anticipated this week, today, that's when you're gonna start seeing the riots and shit because people can't pay rent. They're gonna get evicted. They're like, oh no, I need money to go and pay rent, and they're gonna get desperate. Like, I got a family, motherfucker, and like,
why does this made up person have to sound like that?
Because they grew up in West Virginia and from a inbred white family.
Yeah, I think they're driving people. Like, we were already desperate, but we were hanging on, and they're gonna drive.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have savings because not everyone has that. Like, a lot of people that they've spent their last check already.
And like, I'm fortunate to be able to work from home, but if people are losing their jobs and they don't have insurance, they're not going to get prescriptions, which means I might not be able, I might be let go because what if?
Yeah.
What if the prescriptions that come in that need to be typed up and sent out, like, it becomes less of it because so many people are losing their job and losing their insurance.
Yeah, and do I even have insurance right now because my insurance is deducted from my paycheck, and so since I'm not working, are they going to cut me off from insurance because they're not receiving their payments?
Yeah, so it's just.
Yeah, so what if I do have to go to the hospital, for COVID-19, and now I don't have insurance because I couldn't work? And even if I did have insurance, I can't pay the fucking copay, which is going to be ridiculous. Even to get treatment. Here's the thing. People like with the non-essential jobs that are still working, hustling, all that shit. I tell people, if you're working at fucking Target or something, don't work there. We'll be fine. We'll find ways to get supplies and food and shit. Go home and take care of yourself and your family. Because every time you go to work, you're seeing like a few hundred people every day. Some of those people probably have it. And it doesn't matter how much you protect yourself, you can't cover all the ground. You can't see it. You don't know where it's at. You don't know how you're going to get it. And so I'm telling people who I care about, stay home. Take care of your family. Don't worry about money. Shit's going to fix itself. We're all in the same boat. Just stay home and make the best of it. Ask family and friends for help. Because as more days go on, more people are infected. More people. Is infected the right word to say?
Yes.
I guess so, right? It sounds like very zombie apocalyptic like. But yeah, every day that number's increasing. And so you're increasing your chances of getting it. And the longer you stay at Target, ringing up people's groceries that they touched, the better chance you get it. So anyway.
And HEB, which is our local grocery chain here in the South.
We're not in the South. We're in Texas. Just so I don't want people thinking we're in like Mississippi or something or Georgia.
Isn't Texas in the South?
It is, but we don't want to say the South because the South sounds like a Biloxi. Y'all kill me with those lighters. That's who I was doing earlier. I was doing Fred Durst.
What was I saying? HEB. They're paying their employees like $2 more an hour, but only up until I think of April. And I don't understand why they don't permanently pay them that.
Yeah. Well, what I think should happen, and I'm in a way okay with martial law because I think people are just fucking stupid. Listen, hear me out. Because people are fucking stupid, the quicker we can get everyone to stay at home for a month, everyone stays at home for a month. We enforce martial law just to, hopefully it doesn't get out of hand. You have people, that's what's going to happen though. That's the sad thing. Because we have so many stupid people here, you get martial law, people are going to like take that as a threat. They're going to load up their guns. They're going to rebel. They're going to fight back these like fucking 22-year-olds that like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, National Guard people that work at Best Buy and then they also work in the army. And, those people, there's going to be some conflict with like gun-toting people and National Guard. Like, don't tell my mama what to do. She's out here planting potatoes to feed the family. But to protect my mama. My mama, she worked for these potatoes. Well, I can't go to the grocery store and get no potatoes. They say no potatoes, like double negatives. Anyway, the people from West Virginia, you're inbred white.
I am not in favor of martial law.
Okay, I'm not in favor either, but I think it's going to take place because people are stupid and they can't listen. And so they're not going to listen. The numbers are going to go higher. And then like, look, if you're not going to fucking stay at home, we're going to make you stay at home. I'm not in favor of it either, but I think it's going to happen. I posted a post last night of a baby sucking on the fucking cart handle, and it's already gone viral. Got 167 shares already since I went to bed last night and woke up this morning. It's a picture on my Facebook profile, and it's gone viral, and it's like these two grown-ass adults with masks and gloves on, paying for, both of them with their backs turned towards this like fucking toddler, and the toddler's like no protection, and its mouth is like sucking on the fucking handle of a shopping cart. Because of fucking people like that. Idiotic people who fucking like lick their fingers with a fucking glove on, remove their mask and lick their fingers to open up the fucking produce bag. Because of people like that, and because of people who, you know, are on the fucking cell phones and then wearing gloves and then putting up to the... Because of stupid people, we're going to have martial law. That's my prediction. My prediction is March 2nd, things are a lot worse than you think. Take it seriously. Then March 12th, 21,000 people in America are going to die from this. And now my new one is we're going to have martial law. Like, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I don't want it to happen either. But I'm going to be a good boy and I'm going to stay indoors. I'm going to watch Netflix and just fucking,
Did you go buy your gun?
No, but I've got some other weapons. There's a gun store, like, seriously walking distance from me. I'm thinking about just buying one with the money I have left over.
I'm thinking about buying a gun with my stimulus check.
Yeah, we did talk about that, right? Getting a gun, like...
Yeah.
Me and you, we had this conversation about 3 weeks ago, right? 4 weeks ago. Like, fuck it, let's just get guns. Everyone else has got guns. But my plan was I'm going to start with a katana blade and then work my way up to, like, a fucking bazooka, like in the games.
Shut the fuck
So,
up.
you're just walking around and you befriend some guy with a big gun, like an AR-15 or whatever. And then you just take his head off and then take his gun. And then with that gun, you can get bigger guns and you can build an army. So that's my plan. And I want a challenge too. So I'm starting with a katana blade. Actually, I could start with my brass knuckles and then work my way up to take someone else's katana blade. But nah, let me just get a head start. I'm going to do a little cheat in the beginning. And I'm going to equip myself with brass knuckles, pepper spray, these Batman gloves I got, my size. I got like a throwing daggers and a katana blade. And that should be good for that to begin with. I'm not too much of a threat. And people can hear bullets. They can't hear the shing sound.
Why don't you go back to, like when this started, why didn't you go back to England?
Because I've got so much here. I've got like my beautiful apartment. And also England seems more chaotic. I would be homeless if I were there. I wouldn't know where to go. Also,
you couldn't stay with your dad?
The cost of living. My dad's in the Philippines.
Oh, he lives in the Philippines now?
Yeah. He
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
Filipina.
Oh, really? A Filipino?
Yeah, we're talking... We think we're on the phone, but we're recording a podcast.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. Yeah. So I think he's in the Philippines. I don't know where he's at exactly right now. I have sisters. My sister, she's like brought in 2 children. She's got a full house. So she got her 3 kids, her husband, and 2 additional kids of my cousins. And then, there's not really anywhere. I'm better off right here. And I'm good with it. I'm riding it out. It's a fun game for me. Like, it's scary.
No, it's not.
It's scary, but I'm living life at the level I want to live life. Like, we've fantasized. Don't lie. We've fantasized about having an apocalypse, and here we have it. And it's the best fucking apocalypse we could have. We still have electricity, running water. I could take a hot shower right now if I want to. It's not dusty, and we're all wearing like fucking like loincloths and shit.
Not yet.
Not Mad Max. But I did talk with my boss about armoring all those buses, and we can make little houses out of them and be portable. So I'm going to take a bus from a different company, a company I don't like very much. I'm really gonna steal a bus. I know how to operate them. I know where I know the security of that place, so I could easily get a bus like within minutes. And and I'm gonna like take some of the seats out, put some beds down, and it's already got a toilet, and and that's gonna be my apocalyptic vehicle. And I'm gonna armor it. I'm gonna like put like sheet metal over the windows and some spikes and shit. It's gonna be all Mad Maxed out, but yeah. So I got that, and also I got like little roof hatches. So if you do have some guns, the emergency hatches, you can stand on the seats and shoot people from a distance. So I've got it all worked out. What's your apocalyptic solution if it gets that far, which is very possible in this country because you saw what happened in Katrina, and you saw what happened. Yeah, you saw Katrina, and how people rioted and shit, and like it just takes a few people, and then everyone's doing it because if you don't riot, you're not going to get anything. If you're honest and go in there and take your credit card out, to pay for groceries, you're not going to have any food because all the rioters. So you become a rioter because it's like you can't beat them, join them type of thing. So everyone's going to start rioting the moment enough people riot. And that's the only way you'll be able to get supplies. So, and this is on a bigger scale than Katrina because now it's like a nationwide panic pandemic rather than just New Orleans.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I haven't thought that far ahead. I'll just ride with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. You have to provide something though. You have to add
guns.
Okay. There you go. Guns. You got like 2 people on your team that can't get hit in the nose as our weakness, and we've told everyone.
Ryan's also a combat medic, so
yeah, he is. He is a combat medic. He's got some military training. All right. So yeah, that alone is enough. So we're gonna build a team. I'm like looking at a team of about 12. And then a couple. I need at least 2 people to mate with, for mental and reproductive purposes. So I'll be taking them along.
That's gross.
It is gross, but I have my section of the bus.
My section of the bus.
Yeah, I got first dibs. I
think I'll just kill myself.
All right. Well,
have a section of the bus.
Well, it's gonna be like boarded off, and I'm have a door and everything. So I've already worked it out. But I need 2. Also, I need 2 because one might die, or one might be. It doesn't matter. I won't get too much into that. But okay. Also, I'll be feeding him and taking care of him. So, yeah. Anyway, and they'll be cool with it because they are cool with it already. So
stupid.
Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, I it is exciting to me. It's exciting to see how people behave in a situation like this. And I know I'm going to be good. I know I'll be fine. But the way people panic about toilet paper, holy shit, man.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Imagine when cans go scarce. When canned food.
Yeah.
And they run out of refried beans, Imagine that.
I don't know.
It's going to get worse, but I'm a little sorry.
What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying I'm a little late on the timeline. I kind of predicted like right now, today would be when people start getting angsty because rent's already due, and we're nearly a week after rent. Like after 3 days, your fees go up, and after 10 days is when you get evicted.
I think it's I don't know. They've kind of like trained us to be I can't. What's the word? Like how in France they immediately start protesting, but here in America we're just kind of like,
yeah. Well, it's the
like
thing.
We've been trained to do that for so many decades that
to be content.
I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know what it's gonna take for people like to just start protesting.
Yeah, well,
to start to go on a general strike just across the board.
I know. And that's what needs to happen. We need to, 340 million people need to well, maybe not all of them because some of them retired. Let's just say 300 million, right? The other ones are children and whatever, etc. Even 200, let's just say 200 million people simultaneously look, fuck this, I'm staying at home. And everyone just stays at home and you stick to it for a month. That's going to lower the curve to nearly nothing. If everyone just stays where they are for a month, we'll be fine. But the thing is, we've got the majority of people that want to be essential workers. Man, we're in the age of fucking self-checkout and shit. We need a security guard at every HEB. And that's it.
I saw them. There was police officer when I went to Sam's to get some water. There was a police officer.
That's it. We just need people monitoring. We don't need people touching the food and asking about the day and shit. No, just use self-checkout only. Let the employees go home. pay their wages and let's ride it out. That's really the only thing we could do. But because everyone wants to be fucking greedy and make a little bit of extra money, these businesses are staying open, these non-essential businesses. Fucking strip clubs, sugars, what the fuck's that about?
They're still open?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they're like immune to diseases, so. But like, what the fuck is this? Liquor stores, I understand, for people's mental health reasons, you know? Imagine that, like, you cut off all fucking liquor stores. No, that's not going to happen. That's when you're going to have riots for sure. And I'm about it too. I got my alcohol stash, and it really does help a little bit, you know, like it's good, you know, like I'm doing my assessments, you know, and I'm drinking, and I couldn't do that at work, you know, so it makes things a little bit easier. So people need their little. I'm not an alcoholic by any means. I can go forever without drinking, but I'm saying it does help to know that you can have it. Anyway,
but I don't know. Like people need like not every landlord's like your landlord where they're gonna be okay with their tenants not paying.
Yeah, and I love my landlord. Me and him have a great relationship, and so I want to pay him. I would rather pay him. I want him to be taken care of, and in that way. But like the moment I can't pay it anymore, he's gonna have to know that. Like, look, I paid you this month and that month, but I haven't made money since the fucking 14th of March, and I'm not making any more money. Like my business is shut down indefinitely. I'm not getting a stimulus check. I'm not getting a grant. Are you getting a check or not? What, stimulus check?
Yeah.
I did file taxes in 2018, so probably, yes. I'd assume so.
Okay.
I don't know how that works exactly. I'm not a citizen, so it says all Americans will receive a check. Well, I'm not an American, but I fucking paid my taxes. I have a permanent resident alien card. Pretty much I have every right an American has except for the right to vote and Social Security, which we both know, like, both of those things don't really do anything anyway.
Yeah.
So I really am just like an American, just without the fucking title, and I can leave whenever the fuck I need to. So I got like one foot out the door all the time. And now we've got Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister, yeah.
I was reading about that.
In intensive care.
And yeah, he went overnight. Like he went from like getting it to being intensive care and overnight. So we might not have a Prime Minister by next week. That's very possible. And he's the one that proposed for Brexit. And I bet
Isn't he the one that proposed also to cut like funding to the NHS?
Yes.
Their national health system?
Yep, exactly. He's idiotic and selfish, and he's our Trump, pretty much. Yeah. I don't follow politics very often or very close. Actually, I know more about American politics and British politics. But yeah, he's pretty much our Trump, but not nearly as dumb. Like, Boris Johnson's a smart guy. He's just a selfish piece of shit asshole. Mm-hmm. He cares about his own people, his own party, and he doesn't give a fuck what you think. He's smart, and that's the scary thing about him. He's smart, manipulative, and people of England know that. But Trump, he's just, I mean, to be a Trump supporter, you have to be pretty fucking stupid. Or a selfish asshole also. That, like, he's an idiot, but, like, you're gaining from him being a president. Because you're like Republican, you have these businesses, you're getting, you know he's a piece of shit, but like you like him because he's helping you out personally. So that's the difference with our prime minister and your president. And I love it when people on Facebook, they'd be like, he's still your president. I'm like, well, actually, he's not. I don't have a president.
They're so stupid.
I know.
I'm so tired of the Trump supporters.
I know. But yeah, we've covered a lot. We've covered kind of like my origin story. When I got the virus. If I got the virus, I guess I'll do a follow-up podcast, at least for me. Or maybe we could do this too. We could do a part 2 of this, like a follow-up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've got nothing else going on,
Yeah, me either. I'm just at home. I'm working and just here.
Yeah, and now with this new the Zoom thing, which I've known about for a few weeks, but now I've used it for the first time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do another podcast together.
Yeah, Didn't I just say that?
No, the other one.
Oh shit! Oh, sorry. Here's me making assumptions. So let's pitch it.
Stupid.
Let's pitch it on both of our podcasts. So we're gonna
Okay.
do. We have no name for it yet, or do we?
I don't know.
Maybe we shouldn't say it because then someone might steal the idea before we put it out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let's just say we've got a new podcast coming out. So if you like our interaction together,
And it's not political or current.
Yeah. Well, so I'll talk to your listeners. So my podcast is called Kayallscope. So it's like my is a pun with kaleidoscope. So I'm Jordan Kayall. So it's spelled Kayall. So Kayallscope is like a kaleidoscope of different topics that you throw into a bucket and you look at it from different angles, much like a kaleidoscope, but from my perspective. So usually I'll have like a variety of different co-hosts that I talk with about a particular topic. For instance, the last topic was all over the place. It was called, what was it called? Sugar Babies Eating Indian Curry Ass was the last episode title. So it gives you an idea of what it's about. So we talked about sugar baby culture, sex workers, the eating ass culture, which I didn't understand at all. But my co-host, Ian Grant, helped me explain it. And last episode, I had Ian Grant and his wife on it. I was supposed to have other people, but they were scared of the COVID-19 thing. So this is like early on. We recorded this like in maybe like the first week of March. Anyway, so my podcast is all over the place. It's silly, but we learn something new every day. And that's my whole point, is to learn something from every episode. I've got more serious episodes, such as like transgender issues. Like I talked to 2 different transgender people, one from Cincinnati, Ohio, and then I did a second part to that, talked to a transgender person in Australia. One had surgery, one didn't have the surgery. 2 different stories, and I still don't know everything I need to know, but I had 2 podcasts because I didn't understand the first one. So anyway, we have serious topics and silly topics, but in every one of them you might learn something, and it's entertaining. And I put a song at the end of every one of them.
I don't even have an intro song.
Yeah, well, you can borrow mine. I'll put mine on.
No,
just for this one episode.
Well, my husband, he's a musician, but
yeah. Well, you know what? I am proud to say that that's the fastest song I've ever written. Like I wrote that song and recorded it in 18 minutes, and I did a bass riff, and then I was like, you know what? That's good enough. Recorded the bass riff, and then I just did a guitar riff over the top of it, and then I did it to a metronome. So then I just put a drum beat in afterwards, and so it all took about 18 minutes, and I left it. And that's the way I should do things, because what I do is when I write music, I overcomplicated it, and I want to overcomplicate it and try to add more detail to it and more meaning to it. And most of the hit songs are like very simple songs. Look at like Billie Jean, or like these songs are the music's very simple.
Yeah, and, but I don't even know how to
have Ryan come up with something.
I can ask him.
Do you have a MIDI controller or keyboard?
No.
Okay, well, you could just come up with a little drum beat. Maybe use the keyboard, your actual keyboard, to come with a little, put a few notes down. Or you can use the mouse. Keyboard just makes it a little bit easier. And then have him put a guitar riff over it.
I try to make my podcast like kind of like whatever you find in a dirty purse, like just all different types of bullshit to talk about.
See, I never knew this, so I'm glad you're telling me now.
But it always comes back to politics. I can never shut the fuck up about politics.
Well, I kind of thought it was a play on like dirty people, like dirty purse, and
well, more like dirty pussy.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Like you're a bunch of girls doing a podcast.
Yeah, it was like that.
And you kind of like advertise it like you're just some like girls from like the West Side. Are you from the West Side?
Not from the West Side.
Northwest Side.
No, from the Southwest Side.
Southwest. Oh, I guess it is Southwest. Okay, so you're
from
like,
Indian Creek.
Yeah, so you're 3 girls from Southwest San Antonio, just talking, just kind of like riffing, just speaking on layman's terms, and I like your podcast because it's very enjoyable. Because I told you I don't know a lot about politics, so you kind of like break it down for like the average or even less than average person to understand.
And there's a lot of stuff like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that maybe we try to understand it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. But I'm really am open to talking about anything.
Yeah. So the point Marissa's making is that Marissa and I have a new podcast, which is very different than Kayallscope and Dirty Purse podcast. And
Yes.
it's going to be educational. And I'm assuming it's going to be funny because it's me and you. And we're going to be just talking about things. Like we're going to be telling stories. And we're going to be telling 4 stories per episode. We're trying to keep it about 30 minutes. So it'd be like if you're going to work, it'd be a fun thing to listen to on your commute. And you'll learn something new every day. And every episode is a completely same theme, but different information. I'll just say that.
I'm actually excited about it because
Me too. I just need to stop
as
being
I said,
lazy.
I always talk about politics, but I enjoy talking about politics, but I'm so fucking tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how like regular people who don't even want to bother with that, like if they're looking for something to listen to, so that's why I'm excited to do it because it's like it's something.
It's very different than both of our podcasts, and it's something we can kind of meet in the middle, and we learn something. So there's a lot about it, and I came up with this idea. I may have talked about it in my last podcast. Oops. No, I didn't. I talked about wanting to do this a few episodes ago. So if you listen to my podcast, you'll probably get a spoiler alert and know kind of what it's about. But yeah,
and just for people to like, I guess just to escape, like especially if you're trapped in your house or apartment, just escape for a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And you learn something. That's a cool thing. It's kind of like you click on that clickbait shit, like 10 things you never knew about this. Well, we're giving you 4 things you didn't know about this. And we're going in detail and we're bouncing off of each other. So I pick 2 things, you pick 2 things, and you tell me about yours, I tell you about mine, you tell me about yours, and we learn from each other. And yeah. And I think it's interesting.
I also wanted to say on my podcast, we're still new. So I don't know.
Yeah. So go to Dirty Purse Podcast, spelled all correctly, right?
Yeah, and there's no Z's.
Yeah, Dirty Purse. It's a Dirty Purse podcast.
Hey, I don't sound like that.
No, but your co-host does. I know. Yeah.
Who sounds like that?
I'm just getting people to go and listen to your podcast. I know.
I think one of my favorite. I think it was episode 3. I think it's called "Yeah, Cats." It was my co-host.
Huh? I thought there was a picture of McLovin on that episode.
I can't remember what it is, but it's
the what's that guy who didn't become president what's his name?
Buttigieg.
Yeah, it was him, but I thought it was McLovin.
But I think Leonardo was like or my co-host Leo, she was talking about, I guess, what was it, what did Ricky Gervais host? Was it
the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that was funny. she was just explaining what he said.
Yeah, she was explaining his jokes.
It's like, I don't know how it really went, but just go listen to it. It's really funny. Like she was trying to.
And I remember I was just sitting there looking at her like, what the fuck are you talking
about? So Ricky Gervais is in the news. He said something. I forgot what he said exactly, but it was really funny. He said something about, and then she kind of goes on and I was like,
I love her. Yeah. She makes me laugh so much.
It's funny. And yeah, so for people who know too about us, we've known each other nearly 18 years now.
Yeah.
It's a long time. So I've known you since pretty much I've been in San Antonio.
Yeah.
I started at that job at Westlake's Theater in June of 2002.
Jesus Christ.
2002. I'll say that. In 2002.
Wow.
We say 2020, but we want to say 2002.
Or 2002.
I know we could say that, but you don't say 2020. You say 2020. So I'm going to say 2002. In June 2002, I met you after that, probably that August, because I heard about you. Your name popped up a few times.
Oh no, I don't want to talk about that.
Well, I don't know. It wasn't bad things. It was just like your name popped up a few times, and then I one day saw you, and we've known each other since, and yeah, so we've known each other for a while. I think we click well when it comes to having conversations. We'll do this anyway, have like a 2-hour conversation over the phone. So now we're just doing it for the audience. And I think a few times in this episode, we actually kind of forgot we were recording and just had a conversation and had to bring us back. Your dad's with a Filipina? Oh,
Shut the fuck
híjole.
up.
Anyway,
Do not sound like that.
I know we're about to hit the 2 hour mark. Should we call
Oh,
it quits?
okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's a good right before we hit 2 hours. I think it'll be a good, nice rounded number to
Yeah.
pick up because we're finished talking about COVID-19 for now. But we'll have a part 2 about this, and I'll get my tests and all that stuff, and we'll talk about that and see how Stephanie's doing because your sister. Sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned her name, but your sister's concerned, and then my neighbor's concerned. So now we'll be able to get the follow up on all that. So my neighbor just text the mass text right now, and I'll tell you right now. As of right now, she says. She said, okay, sorry, I'm reading through everyone else's messages, but she said, oh, I did tell you this about, I said this already. Sore throat, fever, aches. Oh no, I didn't tell you this bit. She tested for the flu, strep, and COVID. Should know in about another 10. Tests for flu and strep were negative. Getting a chest x-ray just in case. And that's the last I've heard. So I'll keep you up to date on my neighbor. All of this is unfolding. Everyone knows somebody that has it. And yeah, be careful and stay home, really. I know it sounds cliche and lame, but fucking do that, man. Just stay home. Every time you go out, you're exposing yourselves. Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
All the time.
And don't lick your fucking fingers with a glove right before you fucking open a produce bag.
Oh, and Trump was telling people to take
no, don't listen.
hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine. Do not take without.
People are dead already
If
from
it's
that.
not from your doctor, don't take anything that's not prescribed from your doctor.
Yeah. Unless
Do not listen to that idiot.
Unless you're like a number one Trump supporter fan and you believe everything wholeheartedly what he says and you think he is God's gift to the world, then you should listen to him and God.
Don't take medications without your doctor's approval.
Yeah. And just stay healthy. Take some airborne. Use preventive measures by stay at home. If you stay at home, you don't have to wash your hands every 10 minutes. Stay at home. Keep track of everyone. Make sure everyone stays at home. After 3 or 4 days or a week, the virus dies off. So, yeah, disinfect and shit. But, like, if you just don't leave, you don't bring it in. So you could just live your normal lives at home if you just stay at home.
Alrighty, well, I'll talk to you next week.
All right, we'll talk. We'll talk then, hopefully.
Okay.
All right. And that's the episode of Kayallscope and the Dirty Purse podcast with Marisa, no last name. And I'm Jordan
Exactly.
Kale. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Straight guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of Kayallscope. So the song I'm going to play for you today is a song called Too Gone by Pseudonym. You can find all of his information in the description of the podcast. I always try to find a suitable song to go with the episode, and this is probably the best one I found today. Lots of submissions. I'll get to all of them eventually, maybe, if we do enough episodes. Enjoy this song by Pseudonym called Too Gone.
Don't bring these up. in my way, and I stay the same. I need impacted. I'm to blame. Too far gone, too far gone, too far gone. Too far gone, too far gone, too far gone. Too far gone, too far gone, too far gone. Too far gone, too far gone, too far gone. But I